Alright, I've got some really dark and atmospheric scenes playing in the background today, so sit back and enjoy the horror vibes while we read some Reddit stories. Since this is my first video, thanks for being here. Let's go ahead and judge some people. Alright, here's the first story. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor to grow up, get a life, and get the fuck over the fact that I painted my house a color he doesn't like? I bought a house in a community without an HOA. I wanted my home to be my home, and that includes making it look the way that I want. I also chose a neighborhood that already has fun, colorful houses instead of just plain earth tones. I finally got to the point where I could repaint my house. I picked a soft, peachy color with sage, blue, and soft and dark pink accents. Fun and colorful without being too out there. I think if you Google Coolers Blue Sage Peach, you'll see a similar palette. My neighbor Paul fucking hates it and has been complaining since we started the project. He also made his opinion known that he hates our front lawn, lots of wildflowers and sunflowers, fun garden flags, a little free library, etc. Each and every time I've told him that I don't care. Truly, I don't. And I suggested a few times that maybe he'd be happier in an HOA community that has control over everything and forces people into having earth-toned homes. Paul got angry when I suggested that and said he's lived in his home for 15 years and shouldn't have to move. I told him, okay, well, you'll have to learn to live with a little color. Last weekend, I was putting in pavers that my niece and I had painted together. They're all things like ladybugs, turtles, birds, etc. in fun colors. I adore them, and my niece is so excited she gets to be a part of my home. Paul came over to complain yet again, saying it was all an eyesore, and my niece was here, so I just told him, it's time for you to grow up and get the fuck over what I'm doing with my house. He got even pissier and told me that I have no right to talk to him this way. Do I know who I'm talking to, etc.? I told him to just go away and get a fucking life. If he has so much free time to bitch and moan about a colorful house, maybe he should get a hobby. He stormed off, calling me a nasty piece of work. My niece was cracking up on the side. For the record, no one in my family is uptight. We really don't care about cursing. I know some people still clutch their pearls over it around kids, she's 15, but I'm sure she says worse. Anyway, one of the other neighbors came to tell me that he's been flapping his yap about how disrespectful I am to talk to him like that. She told me that she knows he's a pain, but that he has been in the neighborhood forever and it's worth being nice to him. I don't know, is telling him to get a life that big of a deal? Am I the asshole? I think we can all agree that this poster is definitely not the asshole. When you buy a property, especially not in a community with an HOA, you can do whatever you want with your home, and this neighbor has no authority to tell anybody what they should be doing with it. It sucks. You don't get to pick your neighbors, and sometimes your neighbors are just annoying or bad. Sometimes I think I am the bad neighbor in my neighborhood. The other night, we got the cops calling us because we were having an extremely loud karaoke night in our backyard, and we were singing very poorly, and the cops showed up and told us to stop. So that's understandable, and my neighbors would be right to be upset with us. But, I'm correcting, I'm trying to do better. We're not going to do another karaoke night, or it won't be outside if we do it. Okay, all right, anyways, let's go to the next story here. I think my girlfriend has been trying to get me fired from all my jobs. I'm shaken. Please help me. Okay, this poster writes, I'm male, 24 years old, and I've been with my girlfriend, female, 29, let's call her Janice, for 2.5 years. I just finished my education when we started dating, and I've been doing all sorts of jobs since, sometimes 2 at a time. I did this to expand my resume and gather job experience. I worked in cafes, bookstores, a library, a grocery store, and even as an English tutor. Most of these jobs lasted about 3 to 5 months. My shortest stint was 2.5 weeks. My longest was about 8 months. But since I didn't have a hard time applying for new positions, I tried to block it out, though it was kind of eating me up internally. People called to complain about me. People left bad reviews about me. People used my employee Wi-Fi access to look up sketchy things on the internet under my name. Former employees called to inform the business about me, right name and all, and much subtler stuff that I couldn't disprove. But I was too anxious to do anything about it. I just told my girlfriend. She comforted me. She supported me every time I got my life ruined by these people. But I kept getting new jobs and they kept finding me. Fast forward to this week. I currently hold a part-time position at a bakery. I've been working there for 2.5 months. It's going okay, but my manager approached me about something regarding our Google reviews. Someone was complaining about an employee and their description of them could only really fit me. It was on a day where we were pretty short-staffed, so I could have been the only person in the store that day. Anyway, the review contained some pretty elaborate and nasty comments about me. This has happened on 1 or 2 of my jobs already. I told my manager that it was all bogus and that someone had a vendetta against me, as has happened before. She believed me and told me she'll dismiss the comment. On my break, I checked out the review for myself. Their username was kind of stupid. I'm not going to type it out here since I still work there, but I'll just call them McMyrtle, as it was in the same range of sounds where it sounds a little bit fake, but not really. Anyway, I went home and didn't tell my girlfriend about it. She's heard it all before, and I didn't see the point in complaining about another time where I had almost lost my job. We chat, all is well, and she leaves the room. Her phone's on the table, and suddenly she gets a notification or an email from Google. I don't remember exactly what it said, but the pop-up read something along the lines of, "McMyrtle, manager, has responded to your review." My heart dropped. I've been trying to ignore it since, this was 2 days ago, but it just fits the picture of the bad reviews I've been getting. It fits the picture of the phoned-in complaints to my workplaces that I've received in the past. It fits all the sketchy things I've been fired for. Why would she do that though? I'm looking for an explanation. This literally can't be. She's the only thing keeping me sane. I don't know what to do. This is already a kind of insane story, but these updates that I'm about to read get a little bit stalkery. If that kind of thing bothers you, then you've been warned here. Okay, here's the update. First of all, yes, we broke up. That's why I'll be referring to her as my ex from now on. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. On Monday of the following week, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. I told my ex that I needed her booking account to book a train ticket to visit my dad for a few days. She complied, and when she was in the shower getting ready for work, I booked my ticket and started looking through her emails. After some digging, I found an email to herself which contained the spreadsheet file. I sent the file to myself, printed it out, and took a screenshot. Why? The spreadsheet contained every single piece of information about me that there was. Numbers, emails, passwords, work times, colleagues, their numbers and social medias, as well as some emails and passwords that she used for accounts to ruin my life with. Everything was on there, conveniently sorted for her to ruin my life as efficiently as possible. When she left for work, I decided it would be best to immediately pack my stuff. Nothing that mattered would be left behind. I felt like a wanted man, like I was being hunted, despite nothing seemingly out of place. I called my boss, told her that I would take some time off work, and headed out to see my dad. Needless to say, the sanity was needed. I cried about everything I saw. I panicked for a whole 2 days straight about how my life was ruined, and I didn't know what to do. I had to sleep on the couch in the guest room because I was so scared of my ex coming in. He handled it like a champ. He called the police, a lawyer, and most recently a therapist for me because I was in the most horrible state of my entire life. We're currently sorting out the legal stuff. I haven't talked to my ex yet, except for letting her know that it's over and that she's a sick psychopath. My dad handled the rest. I changed all my passwords, and now I'm looking for a place to live. Sorry for the brief update, my mind's a bit tangled. Okay, and then there's one final update from a couple years later actually. The poster writes, "We ended up not taking her to court over it. This is quite controversial considering the abhorrent things she's done to me, but I do not regret this decision. The satisfaction of seeing her get punished would have been overshadowed by the sheer amount of dread, anxiety, and fear I would have faced from those court hearings. I was a nervous mess. I couldn't eat for weeks without throwing up. My dad had to settle the most important stuff because I physically couldn't. On the bright side, our lawyers settled the situation beautifully in private and haven't had any problems with her since. I've moved houses, got a stable job, and found closure and justice that I was looking for through therapy. We've had zero contact since then, and I haven't read any of the messages that she sent me those years ago. Of course, I'm nowhere near done with my journey. I still have all of my social media accounts set to private and insist on keeping a low profile online. I still get anxiety, especially when there's problems at work, but I haven't had any panic attacks in months, and my therapist has been great. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know if she's moved on or if she's seen this story float around the web. I don't know how much she knows about how my life is currently going, but nothing's happened since then that I could attribute to her scheming. It's always tempting not to believe stories like this just because they sound like, it just sounds so outrageous, but stuff like this does happen. I mean, last video we had a story of a boyfriend stalking his girlfriend, and now we have a girlfriend trying to destroy her boyfriend. I mean, it is crazy. I said it last time, I'll say it again, like it's really terrifying to be dating someone and then find out they're just not the person that you thought they were. This is like just genuinely psychotic behavior, like having a spreadsheet of your boyfriend's, all of your boyfriend's jobs and like how you're going to destroy him and get him removed from those jobs is just wild. But I think the important takeaway from this story is that there's always just like somebody in your life that you can go talk to and have help you if you're in a situation like this. Like you can always talk to somebody. But I think I would be like genuinely fearful for the rest of my life that this person was going to come out of the woodwork and try and get me removed from a job or try and ruin my life in some way. All right, bye.